everyone. I am here today to talk about the lunar eclipse that is in Taurus. And so I'm filming this on Friday, and this happened very early this morning here in California. And it was the longest lasting lunar eclipse in almost 600 years. So this is a very big deal. And today I'm going to talk about all the energy surrounding it. And first of all, I want to remind you all of my offerings. And so I always offer transit phone calls if you're in need of seeing what the current energy and astrology is and how that's affecting you. This is good for any current issues to check in pretty much as often as you want. So I'm always offering those. And then of course natal charts if you want to go back to the basics, your birth chart. Solar returns, which start on your birthday. So if you're a Scorpio or even a Sag now, we're getting really close to Sag season, you might particularly be interested in that, as that chart begins on your birthday and then lasts a whole year ending on your next birthday. So that's really cool to see what the energy is going to be. And then I've been offering tarot readings as well now, which is really cool for me to tap into a different part of me, you know, like a deeper intuitive part. And it's great for answering the specific questions. You know, I feel like it works so well in tandem with astrology, but they do answer different things. Sometimes they back each other up. So astrology, you really get to see what the energy is that is in place and what you should do because of it, what could happen because of it. But with tarot, you can ask more specific questions, get more specific answers. So if you're wanting something like that, let me know. I'm offering tarot phone calls now, so you have a phone call and you can ask me as many questions as you want. Of course, if you just have one question or something like that, you can always message me. We can come up with something simpler as well, like a brief email reading or something. So never fear, you know, to ask about tarot readings and the type that I might offer, because I'm always willing to come up with something for the individual. And then other than that, after I put out this video, so probably tomorrow, I will put out a special for astrology just to see how the lunar eclipse will fall in your chart. So that'll be a very quick special. So if you're interested in that and you just want that information after listening about the general energy today, please reach out to me for that as well. And there should be a post up soon after this video explaining what that will be about. So I think that's all. So I'm always here for any of your needs. So now let's get into the energy. And I will be introducing them when I do a live tarot later tonight. But I have an exciting new eclipse thing because I got a couple kittens. So yeah, here, let me see if I can show you. Here, come here, baby. I got one in my lap. She's happy. Here's another one. Hi, baby. Yeah. And then the other one's sleeping in my lap, so I don't want to wake her up. Yeah, they're quite babies. They're only 5 weeks old. I got them last night. So perfect for the eclipse. They were a birthday gift because my birthday was last week. And yeah, I've been wanting kittens so bad, so it was perfect. And yeah, so they were, and it's funny, the eclipse, you know, it affected a lot more things in my life anyways, but I'm not here to talk about me. But part of it did fall in like my home and family, and so sometimes that is a good placement, you know, for a big change with like pets, like that is a big change around your home and your inner life. So it kind of did match up quite well. And they're so sweet. I haven't named them yet because I'm trying to figure out what their names are. I've only had them since last night, so I think they're both girls. And they're so sweet, so I just got a lap full of kittens while I'm doing this video. So the eclipse. A lunar eclipse happens during the full moon. So there's two signs involved here. There's the sign of the moon, Taurus, and then there's a sign of the sun, Scorpio. But then there's two other signs involved too, because usually if you hear me ever talk about the nodes in astrology, there's a south and north node, always opposite each other. They are the eclipse points. We just look at them all the time. So if the sun and moon were exactly on top of those eclipse points, it would be a total lunar eclipse. This was pretty close, so I'd say it was a pretty major one. They weren't too many degrees apart, but they happen to be in different signs. And so that's kind of weird. So we're wrapping up completely an old eclipse cycle now from the past like year and a half, and we're starting to get into energy that will really start feeling at the beginning of 2022. So this is kind of funny because the nodes are going to shift into Taurus, Scorpio. These are going to be big energies, you know, starting in January 2022. But we're still at the very end of the nodes in Sag and Gemini. So we're getting both these energies. And how this is working out right now, for instance, like the nodes are at like 1 degree Sag and Gemini, and then the sun and moon are at 27 degrees Scorpio and Taurus. And so there's only 29 degrees in a zodiac sign. So as you can see, since they're neighboring signs, you know, that's very few degrees apart. So that's why. So we're getting like weird energy. We're wrapping up a cycle and seeing the beginning of a whole new one. And so with this eclipse, it is a lunar eclipse. So we're letting go of something. We're letting go of something major. Now, you know, eclipses, they're big changes in direction and fate. You know, they can last, you know, very powerfully for the next 2 weeks until the new moon. Usually the full moon does impact that long, or even the next month ahead. But this will have, you know, ramifications for the next 6 months. So it is longer lasting, although of course really powerfully right now. So a lot of people are changing directions, transforming, ending things, starting new things. With the lunar eclipse, it is like a big release. And we're releasing Taurus energy, which is interesting because we're going to have the north node in Taurus in January 22. So we're going to actually really focus on and be moving towards new Taurus energy. But so I guess before we do that, sorry, cars speeding by. Before we do that, we need to let go of some Taurus energy. And then the moon part is on the north node of the eclipse. Usually that's the direction we move in. So it's kind of funky when it's backwards and the sun is more on the side of the south node. So we're kind of letting go of some Gemini energy, maybe to further solidify good Gemini energy, and letting go of some Taurus energy. And then this one, we're solidifying some good Sag energy before we move on from the south node in Sag, when we had to release a lot of things, and solidifying Scorpio energy. So to explain what all this means, with the moon in Taurus, and this has been even a theme all week with other aspects, we're letting go of stagnation, stuff that's just stuck. Anything stuck in our emotional body. It can run really deep. Old things, an old story. You know, it's an eclipse season. We're changing directions here. So old stagnant energy, old foundations. Taurus is the first earth sign where we build a new foundation. We plant those seeds. Well, some of these things aren't going to work out. You know, maybe you had some things and you had started to plant the seeds, but it's the wrong thing you're planting. So you're going to have to like let it go and give it up. Or, you know, maybe things did come to fruition, but now it's a stagnant thing. It's time to build new things. So we got to let go of old foundations, old stagnant energy, old sense of stability. And starting in January 22, we will need to focus on stability of Taurus. We will want to be more stable. We will want to build new foundations and keep building them so we can have a more stable life. But I guess in order to do that, right now we need the precursor of that, which is like, okay, but we need a moment though to let go of old things, because we don't want stability with the wrong things, with things that are stagnant. We don't want to keep watering the wrong seeds. So that's part of what we're letting go of now. And then it is conjunct the North Node in Gemini. And the North Node in Gemini for the past year and a half has encouraged us to be curious, be open-minded, very mental, to gather out the different opinions, to get a new mindset. So that's been really cool. But now, perhaps before we really solidify this new mindset, this ability to be open-minded, to take in different viewpoints, to be curious, we need to make sure that any old mindsets, especially with the conjunction of Taurus, old stagnant mindsets, we let go of them, so that, yeah, we're really solidifying what we have learned and really solidifying a new open-minded mindset. So there might be some old mindsets to let go of as well. And then with the other part of the eclipse, the Sagittarius South Node and the Sun in Scorpio. So the Sun in Scorpio is pointing us to what we should focus on right now. And that's Scorpio energy, so that's transformation, that's allowing things to end and be reborn, like the phoenix rising from the ashes. So that's what's saying right now. Let old stories end, let new things transform, out of the ashes, that Taurus side, the old stability, it's kind of going to be ashes now. And now we get to rise out of them like phoenixes. We get new things. It's transformed. And there could be a lot of like purging with this full moon. It's just a radical transformation of things. And some things have to be let go of completely. Some things can be reborn, approached differently, and whatnot. But it's really powerful. So we're being urged to, it's time to transform, not hang on to the old stagnancy. But come January, we will want to start finding stability and stop just having crisis ending moments all the time. South Node Scorpio, it's kind of like, okay, we don't need to like end things dramatically all the time. We want to build new foundations now. We want to find stability. But again, before we can do that though, we got to release anything that's not good. We don't want the wrong kind of stability, and we don't want the wrong seeds. We don't want all of that. That's not right. So it's part of what we're doing. And then with the Sun next to the South Node in Sag, well, the past year and a half of the South Node in Sag, we've been moving away from needing to feel self-righteous. It was more important to be curious and open-minded instead of being like, I know everything, and move away from old beliefs. So it was definitely a mental shift this past year and a half for everyone's personal lives and in the collective. Maybe opening up and realize you believe differently. Letting go of old beliefs, letting go of the need to be right, and being more okay with not knowing the answers, but you're really open and you're willing to hear all the options instead. That is what this past year and a half has been been about. So hopefully you've had a lot of mental shifting and all of that in your own life, and you can see in the collective, definitely more people clung. That's usually what happens. They cling more to the South Node. And then, because many people on this planet aren't ready to evolve. That's okay. We're all different levels here. It doesn't make anyone better or worse than anyone else. But some people aren't ready to change yet. They will eventually, in their soul's evolvement. They will eventually. But some people don't want to, and you can tell that because they'll be the ones that cling to the South Node. The people are willing to embrace the North Node because the nodes in the eclipses help us progress. They are the moments where we really take a leap forward. We grow, we progress along our path, we continue to evolve. So in the past year and a half, if you did choose to change your mindset, you chose to be curious and open-minded, perhaps you ended up questioning some of your beliefs and you came out of it feeling differently, you were more curious instead of self-righteous, then you shifted. Maybe you got rid of some personal beliefs, that weren't good, so that you evolved, and you can see a collective, if there's still people who cling to their beliefs without being curious and open-minded in a very closed-off way, very self-righteous, they're clinging to the old. They didn't dare to be curious and open-minded and therefore to evolve to the next step here. So that was what that is about. And again, it's not 100% over yet. We still got the end of the year to complete this, and part of this is to complete it. And so with The South Node in Sag, though, being on the side of the eclipse is kind of the new thing with the Scorpio transformation, rising from the ashes, rebirth energy. Perhaps that's what it is. Like, we have released our old beliefs and stuff, so now we get to have new beliefs. So it's okay now. Maybe this is kind of writing it because this year was more about being curious and open-minded rather than even like believing in something. But at this moment, we can be like, well, I let go of those, old beliefs. I was open-minded, so now I get to reaffirm in my rebirth state what I believe now. And what I believe now and what that means for the direction that I'll go in is quite different, than a year and a half ago when this all started. And yeah. And again, because it was about Gemini as well and kind of changing your mindset to be more open-minded. With this eclipse, any last mindsets or whatever mental stuff that was preventing you from doing so is leaving. Stagnant, stagnant thoughts, old thoughts. I feel like even you're like figuring out what of those seeds to water and what not. So maybe when you were open-minded and you were curious, you explore different things, and some of them are not worth continuing to build into your foundation, and others are. So that's important to think about as well. So yeah, this eclipse is very much about rebirth, allowing change, and allowing that old stagnation, old foundations to fall away, so that soon enough here we can start to build and be stable and plant seeds that are good for us. So this is a powerful moment of change. And yeah, and then with the nodes, there's still this mental element. We're stepping into what we believe now. We're clearing out old mindsets. We're deciding if we were open-minded, which hopefully many of you who watch this were to some degree, you're deciding which thoughts and what not to hang on to, what not to. And yeah, just really solidifying the new mindset, really getting rid of the old and rebirthing, with nothing stagnant. And so it's a big week of change, and it's very powerful. And yeah, so many people might find rebirth, new moments, ending old things, get rid of old stagnant things. Yeah, maybe even taking stock, because this is kind of wrapping up an eclipse cycle of what has happened, what is not. And yeah, that's been really powerful. Like, I guess at, the beginning of this node cycle, even myself, I didn't think that I was gonna, I was like, yeah, I'm a mindset, like it could use some work, but I didn't even think how much I would change what I believe. And yeah, and now at this point I'm like, wow, I've really changed and questioned so much of what I thought I believed, and it was really unusual and unexpected. So that's just my perspective, so that's all I can share, but I'm sure many of you in one way or another felt that as well. So I want you to question now, how my beliefs changed. And that can be, beliefs about yourself and your life, because beliefs can be minor things that help us even manifest or not, because we could believe in lack or something and then live in a lack state. Like, beliefs can be like that, or you believe you're not worthy, or like little personal things. But also so think about that, but also I do mean like spiritual beliefs, religious beliefs, political beliefs, like a lot of things like that may have changed. And you might, or like really just taken stock. So question that for sure as we're wrapping up the cycle. It's interesting to like as an activity, or you don't have to like write about it. Some people like to write about things all the time. You can just think about it, so however you like to process things, really go through and be like, how did my beliefs change? How did my mindset change? Where did I become more open-minded? Where did I become curious? And yeah, again, what of those seeds are going to continue moving forward with, and what do you want to solidify as your new belief system? And, Sag is also a direction for the future. It's the archer. It points its arrow and it's like that path. So I bet many of you also, past year and a half, your path changed. where you're pointing that arrow changed, and maybe you didn't know where to point it next, because Gemini doesn't really show you an option. It's just like, be open-minded and curious. So you may have been like, well, I could do this or I could do that. So at this point now, you know, we're wrapping up, letting go of an old direction. And so now you might start to be deciding, okay, well, I kind of got all that Gemini information, so what am I going to do with it? What's my new direction going to be in? As I'm standing out, you know, like I imagine like on a cliff or something with the whole world out there, it's like with your arrow, it's like, where do I want to point it? Because, you know, with Gemini, again, you may have just been like, well, it's not the old direction, and it could be this, it could be that. So you might finally be, you know, deciding where you're going to point that arrow, what's your new direction, where are you going to rebirth with the Scorpio energy into, what's all that going to be. So all of that is very exciting, intense, you know, the energy might be very heightened, emotional. This week leading up to the eclipse was intense. We had intense aspects. I made like a little live video about it, but especially Mars opposing Uranus, like, oof, that was a tough one. Unexpected, chaotic. Could have been unexpected, like good or bad, you know, even just annoying. Just chaotic, intense, you know, like energetically sensitive as well. And the last thing I want to talk about are aspects happening during the lunar eclipse. There's two powerful ones. One is that Venus in Capricorn is trine Uranus in Taurus. So this is good for change. So this is helping Taurus energy. This is saying like, yep, it's time to shake up those old foundations and that stagnancy. And this will kind of help you flow into that. So help you shake it up, help you change. And Venus in Capricorn is helping out. So this is helping you, a couple things. It's helping you change so that you can more step into what you love. You know, Venus is the love vibration. So with Venus trine Uranus, it's like, well, we got to change because we got to do what we love now, you know. Even Scorpio, where the sun is at, is about what you desire. So we're changing, you know, more out of stagnancy into our heart space. You know, this could be a good unexpected stuff with love, good changes for your love life, good changes for finances, good creative changes. They're more practical. So yeah, so like when it comes to finances, for example, this is great because it says, yeah, if there's old stagnancy with your finances or things that need changing, we can do that. And now we can build with Venus and Capricorn, be very practical. Like this is good financial change energy. For love, this is good. You know, if there was stagnancy or stuff not moving or ending or whatever, this is good. And with Venus and Capricorn, which is more practical about love, it's going to be like, okay, this is what my heart wants, but it's also, you know, what makes sense, what's practically going to work. I'm not just going to fall for someone or fall for something out of like lust or just like the rose-colored glasses. It's like, yeah, this is where my heart's leading me, but it also makes sense. You know, I'm being grounded about it, being practical about it. So it's good for love, following your heart, but in a very practical way. And it might, for changes to get into that. And then with creativity as well, maybe more the practical aspect, the grounded aspect of putting a project into motion. You know, if there need to be some change or some new ideas, this is wonderful as well. Exciting energy. And yeah, to really put something into motion. And so yes, this is good energy. There's good change in the air. We are being helped to release this stagnation, like a sigh of relief. And what else? Yeah, and it's just good unexpected stuff might happen. And I definitely would say more on the good side now after the eclipse. Like earlier this week, unexpected stuff could have been either or. Do keep that in mind. Now starting today, you know, with this eclipse, there might be some good unexpected stuff. So, and again, it does depend on your chart. It could be in multiple areas, but particularly with love, with money, with creativity projects. But you know, if it's in houses that have to do with something different, we could interpret that differently, which is, again, if you want a personal reading about the eclipse, I'm going to do a special on it. I will tell you, you know, what that is, so keep that in mind if you're particularly curious. So there's that, and I like that. And then I mentioned this in my live video earlier in the week. It's still going on. Saturn in Aquarius is sextile Chiron in Aries, so this is great. This is an awesome opportunity with all this other energy to take responsibility for our wounds and decide to heal. This one, you have to decide. Sextiles aren't just flowing as trines. Things don't flow together, but they're very compatible. We just gotta decide, is how I think about it. So we can decide now to take responsibility, grow up a bit with Saturn, and be like, you know what, I want to heal. I don't want to carry these wounds. And that's Chiron and Aries. So wounds, especially about identity, who you are, your sense of independence, assertiveness, all of this. So now we can be like, you know, I'm taking responsibility for myself. I'm going to step it up, and I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to, you know, with authority, step into that energy. I'm going to assert myself when needed, you know. I'm going to step it up and allow myself to be independent instead of, you know, struggling with that or not taking responsibility for that. So it's a good energy to heal some of those wounds and to just, yeah, step it up. So with all this other energy and all these other changes, I think that is a helpful energy, healing energy if you're ready, and yeah, good to feel better in yourself and stronger and more in authority. So that's really exciting. So I've got these little babies asleep in my lap, so sweet. I think they like astrology, which is good because they're in for a lot of it. I think they're Libras, so that's a sweet energy. I've actually had Libra pets before. Libras like love and partnership, so I think these pets like, you know, an owner, and I'm glad there's two of them. I'm glad I adopted both because they'll like each other's company. Anyway, so hopefully this eclipse goes well for you all. Again, very heightened energy, weird, you know, it can feel kind of weird. I think the week leading up to it was harder though, but there is a lot of positive energy around the eclipse. You know, it's not an eclipse with squares and stuff, so it has a sextile, a trine, you know, so it's intense. There's stuff to let go of, but it's very good. And so, yeah, let it carry you where you're meant to and all of that. And yeah, once again, if you need my advice, if you want, you know, to tune in for my special I'll be doing to see where the eclipse will fall in your chart and the aspects as well, let me know. And yeah, and if you want any other type of reading, I'm here too. So I'm here for anyone who needs me, and I hope all the changes in your life and everything that happens are good ones, and I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.